Why, hello there! My name is Kiki, and if you don't know who I am a fantasy enthusiast. I make fantasy content, I love playing D&D, and I love going to the Ren Fair. So, since I have been to the Colorado Renaissance Faire a couple of times, I figured I would make a video just kind of going over some of the stuff, especially if you've never been before. I did make a video last year when I went, but in hindsight I realized it wasn't super helpful. It was mostly just me and my friends dancing, so I figured I would actually sit down and make like a video about the fair. This Ren Fair takes place on the weekends through June, July, and part of August. It kind of varies each year. It is located about 40 miles south of Denver in Larkspur, Colorado. This fair was established in 1975. It was founded by a man named Jim Paradise, and the current director of the fair is actually his son, Jim Paradise Jr., which is pretty cool. This fair sits on approximately 60 acres of land. About 4 miles away from this fair, there is a campground called Jellystone Park, so if you're the type that likes to make a camping trip out of your visit to the Ren Fair, that is a pretty handy option. Usually when I go, I stay with friends in Colorado Springs, and I've stayed at a hotel there before too, which is about 40 minutes to an hour drive depending on the traffic. And speaking of traffic, there's pretty much one road in and out of this fair, so the traffic is usually pretty bad unless you leave early. If you're not planning on leaving super early, there is a likelihood that you will be sitting in traffic for a bit. This fair, as well as the parking lot, are on a hillside, and the parking area is large, so if you get there late, you will be parked pretty far away from the gates. So it's going to be a bit of a walk. There is a shuttle bus that can take you from the parking lot to the main gates, so that's also an option. Once you arrive and you walk towards the gate, you'll probably be in quite the line of people to get in. Cast members at this fair are often up above the entry telling jokes, conversing with the guests, and gossiping about the in-universe lore. The actors that work there call this fair Larkspurshire. They have like actual characters and political motivations and stuff, so it's sort of like a LARP adjacent fair, which is really fun. So you can get in on all the gossip if you are interested in that. When you arrive at the gates, to the right there are bathrooms and an ATM, and to the left of the entrance there's a place to buy tickets. I would recommend buying tickets online. They're going to be a few dollars cheaper if you just buy them off the website, or you can also buy them from a local grocery store called King Supers for a cheaper price. It's King Supers with 2 O's. So if you want a couple dollars off, that's an option, and you'll probably be in less of a line if you have your tickets beforehand too. Once you're through the gates, you'll notice that you are transported into a village themed after 16th century Tudor era. I absolutely love that everything in this fair shares theming, because all the actors, the vendors, and the guests sort of feel like a movie set at times. I would highly recommend grabbing a leaflet at the front gate, especially if you have never been to this fair before, because it will show you a map of the whole fair. It will show you all the stages and who will be performing where.
You think I can't tour guide you all the way through this bit? Let's go.
Or you can just go with someone like Lauren, who is obsessed with the Ren Fair. As I mentioned before, this fair is built on a hillside, so be prepared for lots of walking and hot summer temperatures. There's luckily plenty of shade due to the structures and the trees at this fair, but still best to keep sunscreen on hand because the UV index can get quite high. Last time I was there, the UV index was around 6 or 7, and it was about 96 degrees Fahrenheit, so it was toasty. I had sunscreen and an umbrella for sun and rain because that is a possibility. And I also kept a drink on me at all times. Speaking of drinks, factory sealed water bottles are allowed through the gate, and there are at least 2 drinking fountains off the top of my head. There could be more where you can refill them, but there's usually pretty long lines for these, so I usually just go to the beverage booths. Water bottles cost about $4, sodas are like $3.50, and then if you want to have an alcoholic drink, they're going to range from about $7 to $10 depending on what you want. I find it easiest to bring a tankard or a chalice with you, especially one you can attach to yourself to go hands-free when you need to. It's more immersive, and the stainless steel lined ones tend to keep your drinks colder than the paper or plastic cups you'd get at the booths anyway. I just got this chalice that goes in a little holster on my belt, so I was super excited about that. Once you're hydrated, you are probably going to want some food. This Renaissance Fair has the food pretty spaced out along the fair, which I personally think is nice because you will have some sort of food options pretty much wherever you are without having to walk a long distance. Certain items are only available in certain parts of the fair though, so if you come across something specific you want, I would say make a mental note of it, or maybe mark it on the little map that you got at the door, because you might not be able to find it at another food stall at a different area of the park. This fair has a lot of food options, and they also had a lot of vegetarian options, which I found very nice. Some of the things that they have off the top of my head are turkey legs, steak on a stick, chicken fingers, baked potatoes, spinach pies, and of course the notorious pickle cart, my favorite food. In the Ren Fair and outside of the Ren Fair, you gotta go to the pickle guy.
How is it, Kikimora?
It's my favorite food.
Yeah? The best?
The only thing better would be if I was dual wielding 2 pickles.
Oh, alright, fair enough.
So the food options I think are actually really reasonably priced, especially compared to some of the other Renaissance fairs. I haven't personally been to a ton of Renaissance fairs, but talking to my friends who have gone to a lot, they have said that this is probably the best option price-wise for food at a fair, which is great. While being in costume is not required, I definitely think it will enhance your experience and make it more enjoyable. A lot of people are dressed up and they put a lot of work into their outfits, so it's really fun for me to be able to approach people, kind of ask them about their outfit and see like what they made or where they got it. In my opinion, I would say the majority of people who attend this fair are in some sort of costume, whether that's like one themed piece or a full set of armor. That is totally up to the person. I will be back to touch more on the outfits and costumes a bit later in this video. As for weapons, weapons are allowed to be brought into this Ren Fair, but if they are made of metal or any hard material, they will be piece tied to you, so they'll zip tie it to your belt or to its sheath so you cannot unsheath them. But if you do bring foam weapons through, you're allowed to have those out throughout the festival, which I think is very fun because we've had plenty of sword duels and shenanigans with our foam weapons. They also sell plenty of weapons at the Renaissance Fair, so if that's something that you want to have as a part of your outfit but you don't currently own, you can always buy one while you're there. This Renaissance Fair has a ton of activities such as axe throwing, archery, crossbow shooting, a petting zoo, a joust, famous fair performances such as Jacques the Whipper, and then tons of other musical performances. My personal favorite is the Crack Show. They're so fun, and they do multiple performances throughout the day, but I would definitely recommend going to their last performance because, in my opinion, it's a great way to end your day at the Renaissance Fair. As with a lot of other things, this is an event that is going to be as fun as you make it. I usually go with people who are very into dressing up. Some of them are LARPers, some are D&D players, most of them are cosplayers, and all of them are just very excited to be there, which makes everything way more enjoyable. The best thing about the Renaissance Fair is that it can be any type of day that you want it to be. You can plan to see every single show that you can pack into your day. You could spend the entire time shopping and probably still not see all the vendors. You could make it all about trying the food, all about doing the activities, or a mix of whatever sounds fun to you, which is how I usually go to the Ren Fair. I've only been to this Renaissance Fair 6 days total, so 3 weekends. But since this fair is so far from me, it's like 11 hours of a drive because it's out of state. I haven't gone a ton of times. I would love to go more, and I'm sure I will in the future, but I just can't go every weekend, which is so sad. Every single time that I've gone, I've had a wonderful time though. I always end up meeting a ton of new people, and I always get inspired for what types of outfits and costumes I can make once I'm back home. And another thing I absolutely love about the Renaissance Fair is the trinket trading that some people do. I often bring little trinkets to give out to people, and then some people also do the same thing, and then we can like trade and stuff. So this year I brought a bunch of dragon stickers, which have dwindled significantly due to all of the amazing people I got to talk to and hang out with. I love all of the trinkets that I've been given at the Ren Fair, so I have saved all of them because I love hoarding my little treasures. So I'll show you some of the things that I've been given, and that can maybe inspire you for some things that you can bring if you want to trade. I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about, but I did ask on my Instagram if there were any specific questions that anybody had about this fair in particular, so I will address some of those here. How do you combat the heat and layers? So that's difficult because it's obviously going to be very hot. Colorado is hot in the summer, and you want to be layered up if you're going to go in costume. I think it's the best way to make a fantasy outfit. I just tend to stay in the shade as much as I can. I bring my sunscreen. I had an umbrella this year, which was really nice. Drink lots of water, stay in the shade if you can. It's honestly not that bad. Like it gets really hot, but it's not like you're stranded there with no shade or water or anything. You know what I mean? Like you can stay in the shade for the majority of the time if you need to. Do most fairs not accept cards? If so, why? So I think each fair is different. I can't really speak to other fairs, but the ones that I've been to, they do accept card. They just have a really hard time processing the payments based on where the fair is located. It's usually not in an area where there is good service. So I think bringing cash is always the best option. I also like bringing cash because I can never overspend if I can only spend what I have in my hands. What do you like about the Colorado Renaissance Fair compared to others? I think the location, the buildings, the theming, the actors, it's like a really fun environment. I've been to other fairs that are just kind of like, there's some food trucks and like, you know, there's like activities and stuff, but it's not the same. This is, like I mentioned before, more LARP adjacent than some of the other fairs that I've been to. This question was a cost analysis. So that's kind of tricky because it truly just depends on what you want to do when you're there, and like if you're gonna need to stay in a hotel or whatever. But just strictly at the Renaissance Fair, the entry fee is around $27 depending on if you get it from the grocery store, online, or at the gate. It'll vary slightly, but for adults it's around $27, and once you're in the Ren Fair, like, you don't have to spend any money if you don't want to. I mentioned some of the food costs. I'm assuming that you'll probably want to have food and drinks, so, you know, that's gonna range from about $3 to $10 depending on what drink or food item you're getting, but some of the activities will cost money inside the fair, but all of the shows are free. You can go to all of the performances, all the musical artists, all that stuff, and not pay a single cent. I don't know that I can really give a cost analysis just because it's totally up to what you want to spend, but free parking, once you pay to get in, you can spend as much or as little as you want. Where do you put your phone, mug, or wallet when you wear armor? So, you're gonna want to strap stuff onto your belt. That is the best way to carry stuff around at the Renaissance Fair, in my opinion. I don't like carrying around a backpack or a purse because it just kind of gets in the way and it hurts your shoulder after being out for a long time. So I bring as little as I can. I'll just wear a belt with my chalice or my tankard. I'll have a little pouch for my wallet and my phone, and then another little pouch for my trinkets. And that's pretty much all I bring in, aside from, you know, outfit pieces that I might be carrying, like a staff, or, you know, if I want to have my umbrella with me, you could strap that onto you if you really wanted to. What are the best souvenirs? Ooh, so that's tricky also, because this Ren Fair has a lot of stuff. There's like home decor, you can get candles, perfumes, lots of clothes, lots of jewelry. I got a staff last time. I got this chalice that I was talking about. So I guess it kind of just depends on what you like and what you're going to be drawn to once you get there. But I mean, I think the correct answer is a sword or some type of weapon would be the best souvenir, but that'll be a little bit pricier than other things. Going along with this question was about the vendor prices. So again, this is totally going to vary depending on what shop you're at and what items they're selling, but just keep in mind that pretty much everything at this Renaissance Fair is handmade. The staff that I got is handmade by a guy who lives in Colorado, and I heard him talking to someone about how, you know, if you live in Colorado and you're really particular about what your staff looks like, you can come to my house or my shop or wherever he does his business and look at all of my wood samples, all the wood grains, all of the styles that I can carve for you. So when you think about it in a way that it's like a really personalized handmade item, I think the prices are justified for the most part. The clothes range anywhere from like $30 into the thousands. I found this beautiful Renaissance era gown that I wanted, but it was like a chemise, a bodice, a hoop skirt, an overskirt, and all the things, and it was around $1,200. So you can go spend a ton on stuff like that, or I bought a chemise one year that was, I want to say, about $60. It was like a handmade pirate style chemise with big flowy sleeves. So again, the prices will kind of vary depending on what you're buying and how it's made and all that stuff. So I can't give a true cost estimate for specific items. Just in my experience, it kind of varies, and I would say go visit all of the shops that you can before deciding on something if you're worried about maybe finding something for a better price later. Do you have to dress up, and how should I dress if I want to? You don't have to dress up, but I feel like you should. You're going to a place where everyone's going to be dressed up. You can wear the most fantastical, crazy thing you could imagine, and no one's going to look at you funny, because that's what we're all here to do. There's no specific like era or anything, which was another question I got, that you have to dress like. It's totally up to you. You can go in a Tudor era outfit, or, you know, you can go dress like a unicorn or a little goblin or something. It really doesn't matter. As for the part that says how should I dress if I want to, I will link a video above about Renaissance Fair outfits that I made. I have a lot of videos on my channel about different outfits, like how to turn normal outfits into a more fantasy thing. I have a whole video about nightcore stuff, and then my most recent one is about Renaissance Fair outfits that you can do for cheap and easy. Easy and cheap. I don't know if there's a particular way that I should have said that, but I panicked. This question is, how is the food quality? So it kind of depends on where you're going, but for the most part, the food is actually pretty good in my opinion. I got the spinach pie last time. I could tell that the dough was definitely like a pre-made freezer dough, but like I don't hate that. I'm not You know, it was a $7 spinach pie. I'm not mad about it. I'm just happy to have some food in my body. I've heard that the meat is pretty good quality. The potatoes are really good. The fries and the onion rings and all that are really good. I've heard, honestly, no real complaints from anyone that I know about. I would say that the quality is fair. Etiquette / tips. So, I don't know that there's really any fair etiquette unless I am uneducated and I'm missing out on something, but there's nothing I can think of off the top of my head. Tips, I don't know, I think trinket trading is a fun way to make friends and kind of like interact with other people when you go, but it's just, you're just there to have a good time, so just do your best, have fun, meet some friends. Best costume idea for a first-time fair goer. So I have on it's just like a men's lace-up shirt that I thrifted. Those are easy to find online or at thrift stores. You could even just, you know, thrift a button-up shirt, take off the buttons, add some holes and put a little lace in there, and like wear some black pants and boots, and that is perfectly okay. But if you want to go a little crazier with it, again, I have that video that I will link below as well about cheap and easy Ren Fair outfits. I don't think there's like a best outfit for a first-time fair goer. Just make sure it's something that you're going to be comfortable in. I recently fixed this doublet that I made. It was a white jacket from the thrift store, but I just, you know, added some things and I dyed it to make it a bit more medieval. I turned the sleeves into cap sleeves, and this doesn't fit great. Like the buttons tend to like kind of bow out in between. And I remember once I wore this, and the entire time that I wore this, it wasn't to a fair or anything, but I was just like fidgeting with it the whole time, and it was just like bugging the crap out of me. So finally I like added safety pins in between some of these, and I feel so much better about it now, and I'm actually comfortable and think I could go to the Ren Fair without being fully annoyed at my outfits. So I would do a test run of whatever you're gonna wear, especially shoes, and make sure you're actually gonna be comfortable, but wear whatever you're into. That's about it for the Instagram questions. Honestly, I think that the atmosphere of this fair is so fun. Just going there, having some drinks and food with friends while you're in costume and meeting other people, seeing shows. It's just a great way to spend the weekend. If you are interested in dressing up and playing D&D or any of that and you haven't been to a Renaissance fair, I would highly recommend it. And even if you're not into any of that stuff, I would still highly recommend it. I've gone with people who have zero interest in anything like that, and they still have a great time because it's just, like I said, a fun way to spend your weekend. So I hope that this video was somewhat helpful about the Colorado Renaissance Fair. If you do plan on going, I hope you have a great time. I will be going the very last weekend, the 3rd and 4th of August, so hopefully I'll see some of you there. And let me know if you have any other questions in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them if I can, but I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you later.